We're back in Fridley, Minnesota. Lifetime Fitness. Dave Fink alongside Dave Vincent with the World Players of Handball as the guys get ready for the bottom bracket semifinals. Killian Carroll, world finalist, and also the Players champion from Portland, Oregon, just a month back after he defeated Paul Brady and then went on to the finals to take down Armando Ortiz, is going up against former national finalist Martin Mulkerrins, and this is going to be an exciting match, and I know everyone's been waiting around for it, Dave, to include yourself.
It's going to be a hard act to follow, Luis Moreno and Paul Brady, but these two certainly are capable of doing it. Martin Mulkerrins feeling really good after his big win yesterday against Sean Lennon. Killian Carroll has just been on a sensational run since he joined the Race for 8 Tour in October, and before that, Dave, becoming the Irish #1. So Killian Carroll, the world finalist in August, the reigning world finalist. And these two grew up together, Dave, so they've played a lot of handball against one another. They'll be familiar with one another, but haven't played in some time.
Second semifinal match.
Well, it's going to be exciting nonetheless. We'll get our film crew folks to remove that broom handle from next to the referee. I don't think there's a reason why we need to see that during the live broadcast.
Haven't even noticed it.
I wouldn't say that it gets in the way of the play, but it is distracting, right?
Not
I mean, we
nearly
have
as
all
much
of
as
these.
the referee covering up 20% of the court.
That has to happen.
Oh, really?
Second serve.
So the ref couldn't stand back in the bleachers and stand up for a higher view and then leave the court open.
I mean, that's the way I would have done it, but that's not the ref's fault. That's where they're putting him. And there's the first point now for Killian Carroll. I think both of these players have similar styles. I spoke to Martin Mulkerrins yesterday and asked him what it felt like when he was defeating Sean Lennon at the very end of that match and Sean was allowing him to take those last couple points. And he said it was a huge relief because I put so much into this that it was, it was nice to finally not have to really try as hard.
Killing with a good combination there. You draw your opponent in with a kill, force him to back up because he's so close to the front wall, and then drive the ball right at his feet.
Okay, sorry. Resume and play. 2-0.
Killian Carroll serving a 2-0. On the plus side, this is perfect time for Ireland to watch. Only about 7 o'clock in the afternoon in most places. In the evening, I should say. Now that's 3-0, 3 straight points here for Killian Carroll.
3-0.
Make sure that those tennis players get to go through here.
Coming in.
Martin finally gets a side out with a strange bounce in the back left corner.
0-3. Fault.
Well, as long as that broom handle is removed, it doesn't really matter what else is happening.
It doesn't matter that we have that junior tennis program going through here. I know that if there was an actual tennis tournament going on right now, they wouldn't even let the handball players in the area. The opposite of that, not true.
Mm-hmm. Point.
I know you're one of those tennis elitists that wears fluorescent colors and parades around in tight-fitting clothes. It's much
but
like
I'm not an elitist.
It's much like
the other
golf,
parts are true.
where it's more of a fashion sport where you have to wear the right clothes and pay that membership fee and hang out with the right people.
Point.
That's a great kill shot there from Martin Mulkerrins. And look at the scoreboard.
2-3. Fault. Second serve. Point.
Martin quickly evens this match, Killian off to a nice start,
3-3.
but now we're all tied.
Fault. Second
Last
serve.
time Martin Mulkerrins appeared in the national semifinal, he took down his compatriot
Point.
Dermot Nash in a tiebreaker. That was the day after defeating Charlie Shanks.
4-3.
Finds himself against another compatriot here in the semifinals.
This one's starting off a lot like that last match we watched. Nice dive get there from Killian Carroll. And Martin Mulkerrins dictating traffic here.
Point.
And there's an error for Killian Carroll.
5-3. Point. Six, 3.
Remember
Coming in.
yesterday, Dave, Killian Carroll led 10-0 in the first game, 17-0 in the second game. So this is
3-6.
far different than what he experienced yesterday.
Point. I call the serve good. I call the serve good. He's appealing. Both disagree. Second serve.
Wow.
And Martin didn't even go for that serve, Dave. It was so far short. Didn't want to say anything and be that guy, but
Coming in.
What's ever stopped you before?
the fly.
6-3.
Stopped you from saying anything?
Well, when the fly
Oh, I see.
is in
You
charge,
stopped
I
you.
stop. Yeah.
Yeah, you filtered. The fly filtered.
Replayed.
I think he's an excellent
6-3.
referee. Wow. Nice shot right there from Martin Mulkerrins. Great get, though, from Killian Carroll. Right when Martin loaded up, hit the perfect shot. It wasn't so perfect as Killian dug it out, extended the rally, and then Martin floats that ball right down the right wall with power and authority, gets the 7th point.
7-3.
I really thought it was 7-4, but I guess it is 7-3. Somewhere along the line, the referee dropped a
Coming
point.
in.
No.
No,
It's-
Dave, I'm telling you, I heard him.
Unfortunately, you were incorrect in the last game. When
I
you thought
heard him
Moreno
say-
had, and he also had.
Short.
It was 3 before. I don't know. It could be 4 now.
No, it was 4-6. I heard him say it.
He
I
said
wrote
it
it down.
incorrectly because Carroll had
Second
3,
serve.
been stuck on 3. Yeah, has not yet been a mistake made on the score today by
Well,
the
there's a
referee.
mistake on our scoreboard then.
That's true.
Coming in.
Make that 8-3. Or I don't know what it is anymore. I think it's 7-3.
7-3. Point.
You're confusion in the last match, Dave. Luis Moreno hit a short serve that the referee really didn't
8-3.
say anything. I think you thought that was a point. Luis hit an ace on the next serve with a 2-well serve, which was his second serve. So it was only 1 point scored there, not 2.
Point.
Now Killian Carroll stuck on 3 points here, Dave, after taking that 3-0 lead.
9-3.
And the Martin Mulkerrins Express, Dave, is rolling through Fridley right now.
Point. Ten-3.
If we've seen just about everything from Killian Carroll this season since he started playing on the Rays Parade Tour. Slow starts, great starts, first round losses, wins.
Big comebacks.
I mean, just there's nothing he hasn't done in one season.
We thought at one point in New Orleans he was just going to get
10-3.
completely blown out in about 6 minutes. And then he turns out one of the best matches of the year against Paul Brady.
Well, you remember earlier in that tournament, he loses the first game to Emmett Pichot, 15-0.
Yeah.
He only served 3 times in that game, and then he wins the match. Came back from 13-7 in game 2, 13-9 in game 3. Wins both those games 15-13.
I do remember that tournament. It was brought to you by Zorelto. Big setup here for Killian, and then he kind of fades in front of Martin. No call from the referee, and it's a side out. I thought Martin held up just a little bit. 3-11 is the score.
3-11.
I apologize then for
Coming in.
accusing our level 5 ref in the first game, first match, for making that call where he
11-3.
didn't state that it was short, and it looked to us that it was a flat rollout. He never did state.
It was a late short call, sort of under his
No
breath.
call, actually. I didn't hear any
Coming
short call
in.
because he yells all the short calls, and he didn't yell that one.
Well, apology accepted, even though I don't believe
3-11.
Tyree Bastidas is a level 5.
Oh, I didn't know that was Tyree. Sorry.
Point.
4-11.
4-11. Point.
It's very difficult to end a rally in the pro game with an overhand spike, but Killian was just in the
5-11.
perfect position with Martin in front of him on the ground. He hit the bounce pass spike to the left. Dave, your spikes are a little bit different. That's the second flat
Coming in,
rollout Martin's
timeout,
hit
Martin.
in this
That's
first
your
game. but
first 60
your spikes
seconds.
hit every wall and then somehow just die after hitting the front wall, which is his fourth wall. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
How many walls is it? That's actually a splat shot. Learned that from a racquetball player.
Okay.
There's a timeout being called here after a side out with Martin Mulkerrins at 11-5.
Congrats,
If I
big
told
guy.
you that would be the score here in game number 2, after watching the way that he
too.
played yesterday, you'd probably believe me. But after 24 hours settled in, would you go with that? I mean, at one point it was 11-3. Would you believe that score line if
30
I said
seconds.
Martin was up 11-3 against Killian?
I'd
mean, I guess-
say it would be unlikely, but, you know, based on what we've seen from Killian this season, everything's on the table. You remember Killian in Salt Lake City was outscored in his 2 matches 56-23 in losing both those matches in Salt Lake City. And then he comes back and wins 3 weeks later in Salt Lake City, defeating Paul Brady and Sean Lenning there. So that's everything that could possibly happen in a handball tournament happening to Killian in 2 events.
Well, his whole season's been like that, up and down. He had some amazing ups, but he had some awful downs.
Zoom and play. 11-5. Coming in. $5-11. Point. Six, 11. Ooh.
What's that sound mean? When the referee says, ooh.
Replay, 6-11.
6-11, Killian Carroll serving. This is the semifinals, and the winner will face Paul Brady.
Coming in.
And this might very well be Paul Brady's hardest national championship run.
11-6. Point.
And Killian with a dive parallel to the back wall there. Really didn't have much of a chance at getting that ball. And I think we saw that
12-6.
save in Portland where we tracked players diving towards the right side wall, never once getting the ball.
I like how Killian pushes Martin Mulkerrins out of the way there to the left and then hits the ball down the right wall for a side out. 6-12.
Point.
And that's Killian's best shot, the inside-out kill to the right. Such great footwork,
7-12.
moves out to his left and stays low. Dave, that's why I don't understand why these players take a lot of balls with their left hands that they could take with their right, because you have so many more
12-7.
options when you move out to your left and take the ball with your right.
Coming in.
Martin would like to have that one back. Very easy setup opportunity. After a great serve,
7-12.
doesn't put it away.
Point. Eight, 12.
And Martin's one of the few guys that'll take that revolving door serve to the right with his left hand. And that time he
12-8.
hits the farthest shot on the court from the back right corner to the front left corner.
Coming in.
Longest ride of the match there, won by Killian, who's either going to wipe the floor here or take a timeout.
Timeout, Killian. That's your first 60 seconds.
Martin Mulkerrins exits that court, takes a left-hand turn, and Killian takes a right-hand turn.
Yes, Dave Vincent,
I think it's pretty congested for these guys. It's a semifinals first game. Killian Carroll is making a nice little comeback here at 8-12. Martin Mulkerrins jumped out in the lead there first, as we can mute that referee's microphone or whatever he's talking on his cell phone there. But here at game number one, it's already put on a pretty good show for these guys watching locally. Now, remember, it was their Andy Nett losing to Killian Carroll yesterday, so the local crowd knows exactly what they're in for here. And I think sometimes when your local favorite gets dropped by somebody, that somebody becomes now your favorite. And I think in the case here locally, Killian Carroll has a crowd, but, you know, Martin Mulkerrins, such a nice guy, both of them are, that he makes fans everywhere he goes. I'm assuming it's somewhat equal.
Zoom and play.
But one thing I can tell you, it's completely packed, Dave.
8-12.
And they're quiet.
Quiet but packed.
Fault. Second serve.
Usually the packed and quiet go hand in hand.
It's a gentleman's game. There's going to be a side out
Coming
there
in.
as Martin Mulkerrins gets back into the server's box here.
Martin led 11-3 here
12-8.
in the early goings. Now Killian scored 5 of the last 6 points. Still trails by 4.
Killian dives and puts that ball in a perfect position.
Coming in.
Martin makes a huge error there on a nice setup. Side out. Carroll serving.
8-12. Point.
Killian has enough wrinkle on the ball and enough power to force errors when he drives the ball at your feet.
9-12. Replay.
Killian practices handball, Dave, 18 times a week. Those are 18
9-12.
30-minute sessions.
That's amazing. There's nothing I've ever done in my life 18 times in 1 week. Or 18 times. I like that shot. Goes down one knee. Doesn't get it, though.
Coming in.
Killian Carroll's just diving all over the court here. Very rarely does he ask for a towel. Our referee thinks he's going to,
But
he
once
doesn't.
again, it's a dive towards the right
12-9.
wall, which yields a miss.
Once Killian Carroll dives and goes for the re-kill, he's going to be the best player on the planet. And with shots
Coming
like
in.
that are going to accompany those dive re-kills, how could anybody ever beat him? Because he gets his hand on every shot. I put him up there in the
9-12.
all-time greats, Lou Russo and all those other get artists. Killian's right there.
Coming
That's a
in.
great shot from Martin Mulkerrins.
12-9.
One of his life coaches, John Egbert, watching this live broadcast, helped him get to these nationals. In fact, Martin says he wouldn't even be playing handball at this level if it wasn't for Egbert.
So he's a handball coach or a life coach?
Coming in.
But sometimes the recipient, the player, can look at it and say, well, it's helping my handball, so it becomes a handball coach. But it's a life coach, Martin calls it.
9-12.
9-12 is the score here. A lot of back and forths.
Point.
Make that 10-12 now.
That fly killed just low enough
10-12.
to warrant a point for Killian.
Coming in. Twelve, 10. Coming in.
Killian is a very consistent shooter from the back of the court with both hands. Not afraid to go for kills with his opponent in front of him, regardless of the score.
10-12. Point.
Great crack serve there, and Martin couldn't play that before it got to the back wall. And once it got to the
11-12.
back wall, it was gone. Killian same serve, and this time Martin finds the crack.
Coming in.
Martin does get the side out there, Dave, but Killian has outscored Martin 9-1.
12-11.
Make that 8-1 in the last 9 points.
Coming in.
And another skip in from Martin. That's the second right-hand back wall setup error in the last 6 rallies for Martin Mulkerrins.
11-12.
Both of them costly. It's hard to get those errors
Together
back.
at
It's
12.
like making bogeys.
12-12.
Long rally here.
Coming in.
Could be a timeout
Second
called for Mark
timeout,
Mulkerrins, I believe.
Martin, 60 seconds.
I think most people would take a timeout after a
Martin.
long rally like that. 12-12 is the
Gloves.
score with Martin Mulkerrins serving. And I think the fly, our referee just found out that even after a 40-shot rally on multiple accounts, these guys aren't sweating.
Oh, Ray,
Such
yes.
great shape.
It took me a moment to process.
We're watching the four-wall National Handball Championships as we mute the referee's microphone in these timeouts, and want to thank those that have tuned in to the broadcast, racefor8.com. We're in Fridley, Minnesota at Lifetime Fitness, United States Handball Association's President's Club. Want to take the hat off for them as they raised funds to even bring us these games, and then it was matched by the board of directors of the WPH, and together collaborating to bring you these live feeds of the games, where it's been exciting so far here on a Friday morning and then turned to afternoon, as it all started in the morning with Paul Brady and Luis Moreno going after it. That was a fun tiebreaker there. I thought Moreno really had the advantage for, 90% of that breaker, and then Paul Brady just made it very quick to tie at 8 and then went on to win 11-8 and looked dominant there for the last, I would say, 8 points or so.
Paul scoring the last 7 points of that tiebreaker after trailing 8-4. Really a heartbreaker for Luis.
Resume play. 12-12. Fault. Second serve. Coming in.
Change of hands here a couple times.
12-12.
Beautiful kill shot there from the right corner
Coming in.
as Martin Mulkerrins gets that side out. Now Martin is serving here at 12-12.
Point.
That's the first point for Martin Mulkerrins as I look back on the
13,
stopwatch
12.
here. In 11 minutes, Dave.
When you're making these big comebacks, if you don't actually take the lead,
Coming in.
you've never really gained the momentum.
12-13.
I know, Dave, when you're facing these big comebacks, when you take the lead and your opponent starts chipping away, you still feel like you're in control until
13,
they've taken that
13.
lead. Now, Killian has a chance to take his first lead in this match.
Fault. Second serve.
He'll try and do it with a mirage serve. And Dave, of course, you know why they call it the mirage.
Because it looks like it's going to be easy, but it never is.
It actually was first struck in Vegas, right around the same time that the Mirage Casino was built. The gentleman who first hit it worked at the Mirage Casino. And they just thought, well, this is perfect.
Coming in. 13.
Well, I was under the impression that what happens in Vegas.
Always is discussed for years to come.
With you, it is. Nothing sacred,
Why have secrets?
really. That about 17,000 people know about. Set up there. Killian goes for it, gets it. Dug out, though, by Martin Mulkerrins, who's now in the back court, between the legs, back to the front wall. And this one's going to bring a round of applause when it ends, and it ends.
Coming in.
And there's the applause.
Hart was on his
Wow.
bicycle there, Dave, throughout that entire rally.
Well, he was riding on the handlebars there at the end. Side out, Killian Carroll serving.
13.
Anytime somebody does that serve with me, it looks like it's going to be that's what I'd rather them serve me, Dave, that mirage. But I always end up overhitting it.
Point.
Probably the best serve for anybody that would ever play me, although I don't play, but that would be the one that I just wouldn't be able to handle.
13. Point.
Giving yourself a couple plays off for that last comment. Killian did not
15,
take the play off
13.
there, Dave. Ends it with a beautiful right-handed kill
Short.
off the back wall.
Second serve.
Should take the rest of the tournament off for that comment, actually.
I was thinking just the rest of this match, but
16 now, I believe.
Broken ball. Just making
Nope,
sure.
ball broken, so we're still at 50.
No? No broken ball. Okay, that is a point.
Okay, no broken ball. It is a point now, and
16,
I was going to say, that's the first
13.
broken ball after those hard hitters in the last game.
Point.
I mean, look at the
17.
I would call it a comeback. I mean, Dave, we're talking about what's the run that Killian is on? He was once trailing 3-6.
3-11.
Coming in.
3-11, went to 5 to, yep, all the way up there. It's an unbelievable run for Killian Carroll with the side out now, though. And that's the first point for Martin Mulkerrins in quite some time.
13-17.
Still didn't score, though, Martin. That was a side out.
Hitter. Thirteen, 17. Point. Fourteen, 17. Coming in. Seventeen, 14. Point.
There's a point now for Killian Carroll, making it 18-14.
Timeout, Martin.
That's his last
third
timeout.
timeout, 60 seconds.
For the first time, Dave, I think you can say Killian is in control of this game.
Well, he's on a 14-3 run at the
helps.
moment. Make that a 15-3 because if he was down 3-11, 15, yeah, 15-3 run. That's pretty dominant here. And yet Martin's still within 4. And if we can see that Martin that we saw earlier on, where he was in demand, commanding the stage, so to speak, then we could easily see this one get tied up. But Killian just does this to people. He just wears you down.
Have to figure out a way to match Killian's conditioning, and that comes in the pre-tournament training. Like I said, Dave, Killian putting in 18 30-minute handball sessions a week. That's just practicing by himself. Of course, he also plays with Boston Fire Department 35 and over national champion Eamon O'Leary in Boston. And that doesn't include the conditioning he does, the jumping rope and the sprints and
18-14.
all the other exercises he's doing. It gets to that and that. There's a setup.
Point.
And you see how Killian puts the reverse on that left. Just a great shot, and Martin has to be thinking, what do I have to do to win a rally here? He hit 2 really good shots there, both dug out by Killian.
Well, the very first chance that Killian had a chance to put his feet together and actually step into a ball, he gets a point.
19-14.
The other 2 times he was on the floor, retrieving. Martin had 3 or 4 in a row where he was able to step into it and didn't do what he wanted to with it. That time he does with the left hand corner kill. A little contact there. Killian looking back as if, and Martin I think is going to give it to him.
Okay. It'll be second serve.
Not sure exactly what's being said between the two here or what Killian said there to the referee, but it will be a second serve. The line judges overruled the referee here, and that good play is erased.
Resume and play. This is second serve, 19-14. Point.
Martin Mulkerrins dips that ball into the right corner. Now game point for Killian Carroll.
20-14. Hold it. Replay.
A little bit of contact there, although the result of that ball at the very end of that play was such that I don't think Martin would have gotten it. That ball hit a mouse on the back
2014.
wall after the revolving door.
Hold it. That slid again. Slider on the
Maybe
sidewall.
we could be seeing some of the effects of the swimming pool being so close to this show court.
2014.
And Martin
Killian's appealing
Mulkerrins
the
gets the
serve.
point
I call the
again,
serve good.
except Killian is
One
going to
agree,
appeal
one
it.
disagree. Side out.
And Killian wouldn't, I don't think, appeal a serve if he didn't think it was a short ball.
14-20.
Oh, amazing. Return kill from Killian
Coming in.
Carroll. 20-14.
2014. Coming in.
And there's a side out. Martin Mulkerrins not going away.
Killian really struggling, Dave, to score this 21st point.
13-20.
He's come all the way from 3 to 11, scoring 17 in the next 20 points.
Coming
Yeah,
in.
both times that
And yet somehow
He
can't
hits
score
these-
this 21st.
yeah, but he hits these remarkable return of serves.
20-14.
Martin can't score that 15th point. This could be a setup there. Nope.
Game.
And that does
5
it right there.
minutes.
As Killian Carroll finally gets that 21st point and defeats Martin Mulkerrins. Martin was up 11-3, and then after that, we saw a 18-3 run.
That's very similar to what we saw yesterday from Killian Carroll, where he won his match 21-7, 21-8, but remember led 10-0 and 17-0 in both those first games respectively. So Killian Carroll is a run guy, Dave, so whether he starts slow or starts fast, there's going to be a big run in there at some point, from what we've seen the last 2 days at least.
Well, we have game number 2 coming up right around the corner, and we're going to bring it to you live of the Four-Wall National Handball Championships by the USHA. It's the semifinals, and the winner is going to face Paul Brady tomorrow. We'll have more handball action in 4 minutes. Stay here at racefor8.com.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Really? Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point. There's smoky.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna
You
be
ready?
good.
She's excited. A little bit of kale.
Please don't put this online.
I'm putting it all over the line.
It's wet. It needs something. No, it'll go.
Don't break my juicer. Looks good.
You ready to try it?
Come on, baby.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
It's okay.
Okay, all right.
They might surprise you.
Hey, she took another sip. You saw it?
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
This is one amazing truffula tree. Can you imagine a place where these grow everywhere? Yes, it's called the forest, a magical place to enjoy with your family.
Ooh.
So discover the forest and explore all the wonder that's there. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united. to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
Back at Fridley, Minnesota for the Four-Wall National Handball Championships. Dave Vincent alongside David Fink with the World Players of Handball. This feed brought to you by the President's Club, the United States Handball Association, as well as a bunch of other sponsors, Dave, that we want to pay tribute to. Jim Ward, Ward Services. They are the naming sponsor of these Four-Wall National Handball Championships. We do want to thank them. Tim Labey with Restoration Professionals, Emergency Services, Carpet Cleaning, www.restpro.com. I want to thank Tim and his whole crew for helping out with the live broadcast and all of the games, all of the divisions, all the brackets. Bill and Kathy and Carrie, I should say, Kelly, also helping out. Minnesota State Handball Association. They also provide the hospitality room, the hotel room 204, and gave all the participants a pair of gloves, which, as you know, Dave, is quite costly. And I want to thank Steve Johnson and, of course, Mantle Buzz. That's MANTLEBUZZ.com. At the next break, check all of those guys out. And we'll talk a little bit more about Ward Services here throughout the afternoon.
1-0.
Killian Carroll wins that first game. 21-14, went on an 18-3 run. But Martin Mulkerrins scores the very first point here in game number 2, going to 21.
Point.
Martin's going to need to do something different, Dave, after being outscored in that first game 18-3.
Point.
Already scored almost as many points as he did in the last 21 points of that first game.
In the last 30 minutes of that first game.
Point.
Make that 4-0 now, but no lead is sacred when you're playing a Carroll. And I'm including all handball players with the last name Carroll.
5-0. Point.
Very quick start here, Dave, for Martin. Killian has not even been in the service box yet.
Make that 7-0 and a fist pump there from Martin Mulkerrins.
7-0. Fault.
We need referees.
Second serve.
To watch the match they want to watch and referee at the same time. We need volunteer
Point.
referees, please. Keep these matches online.
My goodness, Dave, 8-0 now.
Did not see this coming.
Well, we're talking about 2 minutes. Might have seemed longer than that, but it's just
Second
2 minutes
serve.
of play here.
Coming in.
And there's the first error as Martin Mulkerrins slaps his own leg after that
0-8.
mishit.
Point. 1-8. Avoidable.
That ball hits
Point.
Martin, positions himself perfectly in the middle of the court to be in the way.
Yeah, I'm
Standing
not
right
sure
in
where
front of the
Killian could
setup.
have hit that wouldn't have hit Martin, other than maybe the ceiling first.
And the referee gave a point to Killian Carroll,
2-8.
called an avoidable.
And no argument for Martin. Now, if you're not going to argue an avoidable call, Dave, I don't think there's anything you'd argue.
Well, it clearly wasn't avoidable. Whereas our last referee calls it, yeah, so what?
Point.
Now Carroll is rolling.
And Dave, not a lot of side outs thus far in this game.
Only about 3. And that's
4-8.
resulted in 12 points.
Fault.
And I'm counting that avoidable as a side out.
Second
It
serve.
was actually a point, though. I gave Killian his second point.
Point.
So I shouldn't have counted it.
Not as a side out, no.
That's why I said, and that's counting
5-8.
that. So now it's only, there was only 2 and 12 points.
Okay.
That's how ridiculous that scoring frenzy has been. Now 5-8.
I would think the crowd would be in a frenzy, Dave, but still very quiet there in the pack gallery. Surprised.
Coming in. Eight, 5. Coming in.
And now it's very common to see these side
5-8.
outs. 5-8. Carroll is starting to climb the mountain.
Point.
Carroll with his 6th point.
Six, 8. Fault.
I love Carroll's ability, Dave, to make the easy
Second serve.
shots. And it sounds simple, but you've seen a lot of these great players get the easiest shots and miss them. And I credit that to all that time that Killian spends in the court by himself, because those are the shots you're practicing when you're in the court by yourself.
Point.
There's another point. 7 straight now for Killian Carroll after Martin Mulkerrins scored 8 straight of his own.
And they call that going to the strong side, Dave. Killian goes inside out with Martin on the right side. He goes to the right
7-8.
behind Martin. And that's why I like taking that shot with your right hand for a right-handed
Start.
player in that spot.
Second serve. Replay. Seven, eight. I call it a point. Martin's appealing the serve. I called the serve good.
And Dave, that's a fist. I
One
believe,
didn't
right?
see it, one
From
disagreed.
Killian there?
We're going to play two serves. No
Yeah,
point.
I think so.
And
7,
Martin
8.
wins the appeal there, though. This is second serve. I believe the score is 7-8 now in favor of Martin.
You're right. They took a point off.
Yeah.
So it should be 7 for Carroll. That's right. The way Carroll's playing, you might just want to leave it up there.
Oh, big setup here.
Carroll's very dangerous from that position.
Well, shouldn't everyone be?
Well, they should be, but you're not. But I know a lot of people that don't convert well.
I don't know anyone besides myself who wouldn't.
I started hitting the ball front to back on purpose against you, just because it's the only way you can score. Another kill shot there from Killian Carroll, who actually has the word kill in his name. He was destined to be a great handball player, and a timeout finally called by Martin Mulkerrins after dropping 9 straight points.
Dave, even the fly is bewildered right now. And what's happening here? Mulkerrins leads 8-0, needs only about 20 swings to get to 8 points with no side outs. Now all of a sudden finds himself trailing just about 4 minutes later. First game leads 11-3, goes down 20-14 in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. I mean, he was scoring with ease. Was Martin Mulkerrins there to start off game number 2, 8-0, and it looked like he was going to go on to make this ridiculous score. And then now, I'm not sure if I could even see him scoring again. I mean, Killian is playing just remarkable.
Yeah.
Martin has to call a timeout, but I think it was about 4 or 5 points too late. I mean, when your opponent scores 9 straight points, don't you think you should call a timeout somewhere in the middle?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know if that was rhetorical. But
Quiet, please. Quiet. 9-8. Fault. Second serve. Coming in.
And the timeout pays off there for Martin.
8-9. Short. Second serve. Point.
And there's the first point in quite some time now for Martin Mulkerrins.
9-9.
I don't know how Killian gets his hand underneath that ball.
Point.
The winner of this match will face Paul Brady tomorrow in the final in what will be the first All-Irish final since
10-9.
2013, of course, where it was Martin Mulkerrins and Paul Brady.
I'm surprised that not all of them are Irish finals.
9-10.
Great
Coming
shot there
in.
from Martin.
10-9. Coming in. 9-10. Fault. Second serve.
Not so quiet anymore, this
Point.
packed gallery. Killian Carroll
Right,
going
Vincent,
for a
there was a wraparound
wraparound.
that got missed.
Completely mishits it.
10-10.
And the ball just dies in the left corner.
Point.
Nothing lucky about that shot, though. Killian lines that up.
11-10.
Perfect kill down the right.
Coming in.
Any volunteer referees for 2 o'clock match?
These guys are trading serves now and points.
10-11.
Even though Killian Carroll is on a nice 11-2 run at the moment. Amazing get, but it dips in. Do you think that sort of fadeaway left-handed left corner kill is sort of the new shot of
Timeout,
today's world,
Killian.
where
That's your
these players that are
first. No,
facing
right before, okay.
their opponents that are going in the deep court on those two-wall passes that are flipping that ball down the middle of the court somewhat fairly hard, and that's sort of the new defensive position that you put yourself into. And the only way to really defend yourself is to develop that left-handed fadeaway into the left corner, Dave. I mean, you're seeing a lot of the guys doing that now, where they've taken that ball that comes down the middle that's hit defensively, but it's driven down the middle at your feet, and they turn an inside-out shot down that left.
Well, it's hard to play defense from that spot, so I think guys are realizing I'm better off trying to end the rally going for a kill here, at least forcing my opponent to try and dig a shot, rather than trying to throw a shot around the walls, which is going to give a fly kill.
Please, quiet.
It's very hard to hit the ceiling from that position.
Resume play.
So, kind of a default shot.
I mean, Paul Brady has it. You've seen Martin Mulkerrins hit it a few times. Luis Moreno lives off of it. Sean Lenning loves it. Armando Ortiz has made it his signature shot.
So would that be part of all their collages, is what you're saying?
I'm just seeing it as something that over the last 5 years, I don't recall people doing that very often previously. Maybe Nadia Alvarado Jr. did it before, and I'm just not thinking about that, but it seemed like previously in the past, when you were kind of handcuffed down the middle of the court, you would use a driving offhand, roundhouse up into the corners. Emmett Pichot does that a lot, where he drives it Dan Armijo style. But these guys are now trying to flat roll those balls out when you're in a terrible position. Maybe it's a shot to learn.
Point.
And there's a side out. Excuse me, point. Killian Carroll making it 12-12.
Point.
Not a good air there from Martin, who tried to finesse a left punch fist back down the left wall and just completely misses it.
13-12. Point.
And that's Killian's best shot. Surprised we don't see him using it more.
14-12. Point.
And that time Killian puts the natural on the back wall set up to ride the right
Timeout,
side
Martin.
wall.
60 seconds. That's your second.
Killian just is putting the pressure on. Martin Mulkerrins here leads 15-12. Want to thank Minnesota Natural Medicine That's MinnesotaNaturalMedicine.com. Chris and Jan Foley. Dave, you know Jerry and Sharon Jordahl. Want to thank them. Dave Bremer of the Bolay Group, the CPAs. They've done a great job helping us with the live broadcast and the games
30
here.
seconds.
Fridley, Minnesota at Lifetime Fitness. Again, the title sponsor, Jim Ward and Ward Services, really have done a remarkable job with the United States Handball Association, with the President's Club, for providing the four-wall National Handball Championships here in Fridley, Minnesota. Having sponsors donate, give, advertise, support, whether it's professional services, which a lot of people forget about, Dave. You know, you could donate
15,
by using your
12.
professional service, and it works just as good as cash, and in a lot of ways it works better. Always appreciative is the USHA when those things come about.
And we saw that in Portland, Dave, where that amazing orthopedic group
16, 12.
assisted the players throughout the weekend.
I want to thank everybody that's donated time and energy here. As we're at 16-12 in game number 2, make that 17-12, and Carroll is starting to pull away again.
Martin just donated a big setup to
17, 12.
Which is appreciated.
Yeah.
Professional service.
Point.
Dave Martin looks like he's got just about a foot and a half out the door here. Does he go home
18,
satisfied?
12.
He took down Sean Lenning and made the semifinals, or does he lament possibly that I had these leads in both games, I end up losing both of them?
19,
Yeah,
12.
I think it's more of a lament.
That's a problem, Dave, with these tournaments, is there's only one winner. So you can play maybe the best you've ever played one day, and maybe close to your best the next day and lose, and that's kind of all you're thinking about.
Wow. And Killian has just stepped it up like he did in game number 1 to a whole different level.
20, 12.
This is match point.
Coming in.
And he doesn't get it side out.
12, 20.
And Martin
Coming
with
in.
a left-hand paddle air there. It'll be Killian's second opportunity to close out this match.
20,
Remember, he
12.
trailed 8-0 in this second game. Now leads 20-12, and here's a good opportunity. And he ends it right there. Killian Carroll.
21, 14.
His first USHA national final. He'll face Paul Brady, who also faced
work, Ron.
the
Great match, you guys.
2015 World Handball Championship final, as well as in New Orleans and in the semifinals in Portland at the Players' Championship. Dave, what a great performance there from Killian Carroll, who started slow but ended really fast and played extremely well.
Yeah, both games he looked incredible at the very end. Dave, you just sort of ran down the list of Paul Brady and Killian Carroll matchups. There was one at New Orleans that I recall in the finals. Of course, the Worlds right before that, and then in Portland wasn't a final match, but they did match up, and it was Paul Brady losing to Killian Carroll. I didn't feel that Portland match was on even ground necessarily, but it is still a win. And I know Carroll even said that he didn't feel that Paul gave him what Paul can give. Will Paul come out with a different set of energy tomorrow? We're going to find out. Killian Carroll takes down Martin Mulkerrins 21-14, 21-12. Both of those games, you won't believe it if you just tuned in, Martin Mulkerrins was in the driver's seat for both game number 1 and game number 2 with huge leads. Game number 1 had a 9-2 lead that was evaporated, and in game number 2 he was up 8-0 before only scoring 4 more points. And Killian Carroll outscores him there 21-4 in game 2 after outscoring him 18-3 in game number 1. And there was some exciting moments, believe it or not. We have more handball coming up here on the show court throughout the day. Now, we don't know exactly what the schedule is yet, but we do appreciate that you've tuned in. And you remember the mention of the sponsors, Jim Ward, Ward Services. Want to thank them. as well as restoration professionals. And the list of others, we'll name them, also post it publicly so you can see the full list of those that have helped with the USHA 66 four-wall National Handball Championships. For Dave Fink, Linda Manning, Ben Manning, my name is Dave Vincent. Thank you for tuning in. As Killian Carroll advances to the finals, we'll face Paul Brady tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to RaceBreak.com.
we doing this women's match?